let's talk about our carry-in knowledge. We know that everything's covered in ice. We know that everything's covered in snow. We know that ice is rigid and it's slick. That means all of this stuff that's dry and dead hanging in front of us that's covered in ice has a sheath of ice on it. It's not usable. Now, sometimes we can get lucky and we can use concussion to knock some of that ice off. And that's definitely going to play a factor when we're trying to build this fire. Sometimes we'll get even more lucky and find natural shelters for our fire making needs. Let's take a look at one that I've came across just now. This tree has been down, and it's been down for a while. That means that anything that's under it, as you can see, all that leaf litter is dry and protected. It's a great place for wildlife to take a refuge from the wind, but I'm willing to bet in that crack right there, we can find some usable tinder for our emergency fire. Let's take a look. So the first thing I'm gonna do is go in and just reach up in here and find anything that isn't covered with snow. Now, if this looks like an active wildlife habitat, looks like something's taking refuge here, I'm not reaching in here. But this looks pretty dead and gone, and I don't see anybody living in here right now. All of these dry leaves would be pushed toward the back if there was a shelter in here. But we could get some of this usable stuff to start our fire and start that drying process. I'm gonna get a few handfuls more and just some things that I see around here, and we'll start talking about that fire. This rock ledge behind us is gonna act as a drainage. Anything below it's gonna be soaking wet as that water drives down, so it's of no use to us for this purpose. So let's go ahead and bust all this down, get as much of this as we can, and then we'll reset and start our fire. Your pockets, especially on these large farm coats, are always handy for storing all of your fire making supplies when you're digging and you don't want to set it down and get it wet on the ground. This stuff is going to be much drier than everything around it. Yeah, check that out. There we go. Now, some of this is a little punky. It's going to burn slow, but the idea that I have, this is not going to be a problem. Let's get a few more pieces, then we'll reset. That ought to be good. Let's go down here and set up for our fire. We're a little more protected from the wind and away from this shagbark hickory tree, because I don't want to burn him down today. Now, everything is saturated, everything's covered in snow. So what we're going to do is we're going to set all this down. We're going to clear us out a path, and we're going to start taking advantage of everything we know we can use. Jump in my kit, grab a utility line or a piece of bank line is what I'm going to use today, I think, just to minimize the amount of stuff I have to get out, because everything that I touch is going to be covered in snow and soaking wet. This tarred bank line is good stuff. It's water resistant. I've got pieces that have been hanging for years in these trees, and they hold up, do what they need to do, holding antennas, things of that nature. Now, I got a piece out, put my line kit back up, haversack up, really quick overhand knot on a bight. I got a nice loop, and I can hang my pack up really quick. That's what we're worried about right now. Hang this puppy up, keep it dry, because I don't want to spend the rest of my night trying to dry gear out. Now, I've still got my pockets full of my fire making supplies that I've gathered, but just like we've discussed in the past with our fire kit, we're going to cheat to win. I'm going to show you what that looks like. First things first, it's all about fire prep. So let's move to the ground, move you guys here. Right about here is where I'm going to build my fire. I'm going to kick everything downhill. If you're in Eastern Kentucky or been to Eastern Kentucky, you know everything's always either uphill or downhill. There's no level ground. That's where I want to build my fire. I've got all this tinder in my pocket. It's going to stay in my pocket until I get to the last minute. And I'm going to show you how I cheat to win building a fire. I'll get out 2 sticks of firewood, or fat wood rather, right away. I'm going to get my ferro rod. My ferro rod will go ahead and be put on my wrist. Can't afford to drop it because it is heavy. It'll push snow out of the way and get covered up. And since it's cold, we're not messing around. We're going to get our ready-made fire kit that we talked about. Get these waxed fire starters out. These are super simple. They're paraffin or Gulf wax. Little bit of propellant. Not going to lie, because I'm not cheating, or I'm not going to be cold today. Now, let me reset you. Make sure you can see this fire spot good. And I'll show you what's about to go down. This, our nuclear option, I'll put it in my pocket with my firewood, or my fat wood rather. This piece of fat wood I've chosen to show you this trick. I'm going to sharpen the end of it. Now, it doesn't have to be razor sharp, but I want to sharpen it enough that I can do this next step. That'll be sharp enough. I'm going to go ahead and put some fine feathers on it, as many as I can. I'll rotate him around and get him all feathered up. And I really want these to be at different heights. And lastly, I'm going to dig in and take a big bite like that. And this feather stick will build my fire. Now, my emergency fire starter comes out, this wax disc. I'm going to tear it up. I'm going to fluff it up. And I'm going to stick him underneath that big bite. Just like that. Now, let's see if this works out. We get our knife. This ground is frozen, so I'll give him a good push as far as I can into the ground. We got fire. Now, one would think you have to be in a hurry. Not especially. I'll start with this drier firewood that I had. As soon as I put a couple of sticks of it in, I'll immediately put that other piece of fat wood in here to extend this fire. I'm not removing my ferro rod yet. So my fire is above the ground, and the goal is to dry out this firewood enough that it will light quickly and to cheat to win. Now, while that's going, I'm going to move behind me here, get some of this dead stagnant stuff, whack it on a tree, and keep this fire going. Now, as you can see, I hope you can see anyway, this is covered in ice, but if I give it a quick whack on a tree, we can really get rid of that stuff quickly. Get our fire going. Now, this is a non-traditional fire. This is not what I want to be doing, because I skipped an entire step of my tinder and I went straight to fuel. Now, typically, that's a bad idea. So anytime I can break any of this up, I'm gonna pop it back down to fuel, to tinder size, and really extend this fire and keep it going. And my goal is, it's pretty cold out here, so I'm hoping I can do this. My goal is to keep this video going long enough that you can see what this fire does. I think we're at about 15 degrees, something like that. We're cold enough that I don't have to worry about my legs getting wet on the ground because everything's frozen solid. Now you can see my fire starting to slow down as that fire starter burns out. That fat wood's consumed. I feathered that other piece all the way up. Now, this is a no fluff, no frills fire that will work in an emergency and get you where you need to be, regardless of conditions. What we don't want to do is crowd this and kill off the Venturi effect. So I'm trying to make sure there's ways for warm air to get in. You'll see a lot of this wet stuff now is drying. You're going to see a lot of white billowing smoke. Let's watch it a few minutes, make sure everything goes as planned. I think we're in good business now. Now, what I could be doing now is take this piece of fat wood that I saved. I could start processing it down, getting these big splinters, just kind of sticking them in here and promoting flames to rise, places for them to sustain. Really take a big bite. That's what this Scandi is good for. I don't have to worry about things like this fat wood getting wet. Doesn't matter. It doesn't care. I'll just ease this bad boy right down in there and really get it on fire too. I'm not going to fool around with this, because like I said, it's cold. Now what I would be doing after this point is gathering as much dead standing as I can. Everything I can find that will promote a good fire. I'll be looking for things hanging in trees. I'll be looking for dead standing. I'll be looking for overhanging roots. But anything I can find to promote steady flame moving forward, which as you can see is easy. Because even this stuff, it hasn't been dead that long, but it's so cold that it's frozen. I can continue to get it and just continue to build this fire and use the contour of the hill to kind of hold it up. See that other piece of fat wood caught? We'll try to capitalize on that too. Now, what you're noticing, and that's a typical mistake, and I'm not immune to it, you'll see that it was kind of breaking off there. That's because I was pushing too hard and I put my fire down. Now, this fire, this chaotic TP, will get us established, and I would move this to a long fire if I was going to stay the night. And really make sure that I had a good enough fire going to keep me going through the night. I would be gathering massive amounts of hardwoods. I'd be going back to that shagbark hickory tree. I'd pull 4 or 5 big flakes for a hearth board if I had to have them. But as you can see, this fire is going. This fire is enough to warm my hands and keep me going. When he starts gaining ground, starts drying this stuff out and burning it, then I can start drying my clothing out. Now, as you know, fire is life in these winter scenarios. You don't have much of anything if you don't have fire. So we have to kind of make sure that we secure our kit. We know where our ferro rod is that we stuck in our pocket, and it goes back to our fire kit. Our haversack is high and dry, and we have to do what it takes to get fire. Now, I expended 4 pieces of fat wood. That means if I'm in the woods, I'm surviving for 72 hours, I'm hunting fat wood, because I only have 2 left. I have already got water, but water has to come to this fire. Fire can't come to the water. It's wetter there. Go figure. These are all things that I have to consider. My core kit is still intact. I've still got my gloves. I'll put those on, maintain my hand dexterity. Luckily, I haven't got wet today, or not too wet, so we don't have to worry about that. Any residual snow on our clothes, we're going to flake off. None of that stuff can be taken for granted. This fire tree, this method of elevating your tinder when you don't have a bird's nest, you don't have appropriate tinder, will really get a fire going. But you'll notice that this fire is not nearly as fast as our chaotic TP should be. I still have to kind of keep an eye on it because we're burning off tons of moisture. Everything's covered in ice. The wood that I found that was dry was not ideal. If it's enough to get started, it works. Guys, I'm Brett Burns with the Hollercraft Academy. I really appreciate you checking us out. Check out our new field book, Holler Medica, available on Amazon. We also have Cutting the Fluff that we'll be releasing here in the coming weeks, a full 200-page field book teaching you all the cool things about building realistic, valuable, and efficient survival kits. Make sure you're getting out and practicing these skills. Practice them when the weather's not ideal. Practice them like this, when I can cut bait and run if I have to. You don't want to find out that you're not really good at survival when you need to be.